No Way Home is Spider-Man's last movie in the MCU. I want to address this. Before I do that, I got to go to the most important article we've seen. Like, I keep referring back to this article, and it was from Variety and it happened 2 years ago. It was this one here. The new deal was signed late on Thursday night. Negotiations involve top players from both studios, yada, yada, yada. They will receive roughly 25% of the profits, according to the insiders, and Disney will retain its merchandising rights. They never not had that. They'll also put up roughly a quarter of the financing. As part of the arrangement, Spider Man will also appear in one future Marvel Studios film. So that's the No Way Home film, and that's this new future film. They said it's scheduled for July of 21, and we know because COVID-19 happened, a lot of things were restricted and locked down. They couldn't shoot films, which actually there's going to be it looks like there might be a strike again, and things will be delayed again. But that's what they've scheduled for. It's coming in December of 21, apparently. And then it says, I am thrilled that Spidey's journey in the MCU will continue. And I and all of us at Marvel Studios are very excited that we get to keep working on it. That's Kevin Feige. And this is the very, very important thing that I probably referenced 3 other times. Spider Man is a powerful icon and hero whose story crosses all ages and audiences around the globe. He also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. That can't be understated. And he says, so as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold. 2 years ago, they were telling us that Spider Man can cross cinematic universes. The movie is called No Way Home. Guys, put it together. At the end of this film, it appears that Spider Man will no longer be in the universe he's from, the MCU, and he will be elsewhere. I don't understand how Venom 2 plays into this, because spoilers for Venom 2. In the end credit scene, he's watching television and it's, news that Spider Man's identity has been revealed. It looks like Venom is in the MCU. I need confirmation from Marvel before I see Venom in the MCU. I mean, we do have Doctor Octopus according to the trailer. See, we know so little, but it looks like we have Green Goblin and the older heroes from other universes appearing in the MCU, or so it would seem. I have no idea. I do got to see the movies first before I can have a for sure thing to say to be certain about it. But I can say this: Kevin Feige is the most important human being in this, and he's been silent. He hasn't said a word about universes and anything since 2019, and that was the quote there. Till that man acknowledges that Venom is in the MCU, I don't believe it to be so. He could be in a universe that's exactly parallel to the MCU, except it's not because the guy in charge of the MCU says it's not, or has never said that it was. Um, it looks like Spider-Man is leaving Marvel Cinematic Universe at the end of this film, but even then, I am guessing. But they did tell us that. That's last time's article. Now, what brings us to this time's article? The Entertainment Weekly article, they call it a conclusion to his trilogy. And of course, it's a conclusion to a trilogy because it's the third film. We're all treating No Way Home as the end of a franchise, let's say. I think if we were lucky enough to dive into these characters again, you'd be seeing a very different version. It would no longer be the Homecoming trilogy. We would give it some time and try to build something different and totally change the films. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But we were definitely treating No Way Home like it was coming to an end, and it felt like that. That appears to me that this film franchise has 3 films. Okay, they signed everything. It's over, and they're treating it like the end. John Watts is directing Fantastic Four. He knows it's the end. He's occupied with something else. That's it. It's the end of Spider-Man in the MCU, according to contracts. They say, I don't know if we'll be in another movie because they don't know. It all depends on negotiations. It depends on what happens next. So much is in the air. Sony is it's a two-picture deal, right? We established that from the Variety article in 2019. Spider-Man does this movie, which is already filmed, it's coming out, and then he does a team-up movie later on with Marvel Studios. So maybe that's Avengers: Secret Wars in year 2024. By year 2024, you can imagine it only takes 2 years to do a movie. You can imagine that Tom Holland will do a Sony film. You could also imagine that Tom Holland goes up to Sony and goes, all right, guys, Brinks truck. I want a 5% from this film's revenue. Oh, you don't want that? Okay, cool. No Spider-Man movie for you. You're probably saying, well, Tom Holland is going to lose out on money and that hurts him. Tom Holland has Disney behind him. Tom Holland has leverage. Disney's gonna be like, yeah, you voice acted for Pixar, didn't you? Yeah, well, we can sign you up to do this thing here. Well, voice this new Disney princess movie. We got you, Tom Holland. Disney has this man's back in every aspect. Tom Holland has leverage. So I don't. I would say if Tom Holland wants to not be in the MCU, that's a double negative. If Tom Holland wants to be in the MCU and never do another outside Elseworld alternate universe movie, he doesn't have to because he has options and films and he's doing the Drake thing with Uncharted. He's good. He's covered. That's actually a Sony movie itself, isn't it? He's good. Doesn't need to do Spider-Man that's not canon if that's what matters to him. Now you're probably thinking that doesn't matter to him. He's just an actor. He plays a role. Okay, fine. He's gonna go in there with the leverage that he has. His best friend is Robert Downey Jr. They're always taking pictures together. You think Robert Downey didn't tell him, "Oh, this is what I did in 2008." You know, remember that Terrence Howard guy? He's gonna tell him things like, "You have leverage. Don't ever sign a six-picture deal. Hell no. Now you do it one by one by one." So they'll sign one movie. And I said Avengers Secret Wars is happening in the year 2024. Maybe it's Multiverse of Madness. Maybe that's the other movie where Spider-Man has an appearance in. And this isn't true, but if it is Avengers Secret Wars, then he's gonna come in that movie and they will shoot a scene accordingly. If Sony is gonna be Sony, fine. Tom Holland won't return, Spider-Man is gone. But if Sony goes, all right, we tried, Morbius flopped, I can't call Venom 2 a flop. It doesn't look like it's flopping, but the Craven movie flopped. No one wants to see Black Cat, and our Spider-Man film flopped. All right, it's 2024. Fine, we'll re-up, and then Marvel gets to go, yay, about that 25%, make it 50. They might say some stuff like that because they know their value. It is up to the audience to tell Sony that yes, you can make, and if you want this, by all means, if you want a Spider-Man film that has nothing to do with the MCU, so he can be the focus of it. If that's something you want, good. Personally speaking, I can tell you why that's horrible. I can tell you that the attached universe adds stakes to something. Like when we watched the Winter Soldier film and we saw that Tony Stark was one of the people on that picture that was, the Zola, was it Zola? What that thing was shooting and aiming at people just in case, that security system. I was like, oh yeah, because what happens here affects that. We see Winter Soldier in there. We see Falcon. Falcon shows up in the Ant-Man movie because, oh yeah, he's an Avenger. This happens after the Avengers. Like everything is together. So the stakes are added when we're talking about saving the world. We're really saving a world when it comes to Avengers. If Spider-Man's films, if the Venom film talk about saving the world, we're like, yeah, but are you really the world? Because you don't have the film rights to include all these other things, don't you? So to me, Spider-Man in the MCU is better. The quality of the movie can still be good being in the MCU. It's not a hindrance. So that's the way I feel about that. I won't be supporting anything Sony related that has to do with Marvel. That's why I didn't pay money to watch Venom 2. I haven't even seen it bootleg. I just watched the film's end credit scene because people were saying that he's part of the MCU. I go, he's not in the MCU. He's in the MSEEU. It sounds like the MCU, but it's not the same universe. I need confirmation. If Venom shows up in No Way Home and it's in that universe, then I can, all right, fine, he was in the MCU. Sony knew something, but all I see is one company playing ball. I need confirmation from the other side. Marvel Studios has not participated in this, this banter or anything. The most I got was Tom Holland on the day that Venom released. He goes on social media. It's an all-black post, and in white writing, he goes, "Hope you guys seen Venom 2" or some shit like that with a smiley smirk face. Tom Holland doesn't know anything. Tom Holland hasn't signed anything with Sony, according to articles that have not been seen. According to that, I don't think Tom Holland is with Sony at all. I don't think he even follows them on Instagram. Wasn't that the news that came out? He unfollowed Sony on Instagram. Yeah, that 2019 period was very telling when the deal expired and Deadline did an article and you saw the fans go, like me, fans go, what the hell, this is BS. And then they tried to say, no, but look, Marvel's being selfish because they want 50-50, and we're still like, we don't care, they're worth 50-50. At least I was like that. Other fans had different opinions. Other fans, maybe that article did work and they did sway the opinion, but for the most part, Sony knows that they're bad guys in this, and they think that they're good guys, but they know I think that they're bad guys, and fans like me think that they're the bad guys. Let me keep reading this Entertainment Weekly article because it's not just John Watts who speaks. Tom Holland has some quotes also. We've been making these films for 5 years now, Holland explains. We've had such an amazing relationship, the three of us. We've been with each other every step of the way. We've done every single film, every single press tour. So this one, we didn't know if this would be the last time. We were all working together. That means it's the last Spider-Man film. Zendaya and the other dude, they were not in the other films. They're just in Spider-Man films. It was heartbreaking, but also really exciting because we're all moving into the next chapter of our careers. So sharing that moment with them was maybe the best day I've had on set. Don't think I've ever cried like that ever. Aw, emotions. If he's leaving the MCU, then he's not coming with MJ and Ned. Still, he adds, just because he spent the last 5 years performing as web slinging, it didn't mean that he could let himself get complacent. If you're willing to focus and do the prep work, you're going to get called out, Holland says. But because when you're dealing with magic spells and dimensions, it really gets complicated. Tom Holland, you know nothing. I, I don't think there was much to dig into with that last thing about magic and spells. It just sounds like he's going to be leaving the universe. There's no way home. And that's where we are, everybody. There's no news of a Sony film exclusively Spider-Man that hasn't come out yet. I hope if that does happen, Tom Holland gets a huge chunk of that box office. And then I hope that that movie fails. And then I hope that that movie fails and they're like, oh, but we still got to pay off Tom Holland all this meant 10% of the box office because that was his leverage. Oh, all right, sign back with Marvel because it seems like they only like our films when they're with Marvel. That's what I hope happens. That's why I don't support it. If you're the opposite opinion, of course you're going to go ahead and support it. So I'm just trying to not be one-sided right here and offer the counter perspective when I'm talking about other people who are like, hell yeah, Sony Spider-Man solo. That's right. Um, Spider-Man belongs to Marvel. Take care, everyone. Hey, I'm going to be doing 33 burning questions, but it is DC fandom today. So we might have to do a rapid one, but we'll see how that goes. Hopefully you join me. Peace out, everybody.